project came about because of the fascination I had with listening to people in this area talking about the history, about fishing, folklore, about the cliffs. There just were so many interesting characters, and I really wanted to capture that.
40 odd crabs in a pot when they come up, you know. So it just varies every time. They're very clever things. They can sense weather before we can. So, you know, they actually come up as they haul the pots up. The crabs will be like upside down on the pots, clinging onto the pots, and that just like we've got a gale coming this weekend. So chances are the crabs already know that.
About the sixth generation, so I've been at it a little while. Yeah. But basically we start late March, take the pots out, you know, when the spring start, and then bring them ashore, bring the crabs in, cook them, then we sort of finish about November time, and it's back in the sheds, mending the pots up and boots up and back again at it. Here we have to work the tide, so 1 week will be sort of 3 o'clock. The next week will be 10 o'clock, but it all depends on the tides. We just can't go when we feel like it, like Chrome.
While you're searching for the shows of heaven, in the stormy seas and the living hills, just to earn your daily bread, your daring, from the Nova Straits to the Faroe Islands.
I mean, I don't think there's a harder type of work in the world, and mainly that was arm power. I mean, when you'd caught anything, that wasn't the end of the story. You got to carry that on your back up the top of the cliff, which was as hard as catching it, wasn't it? Rowing and sailing, because when I was a lad, they were still rowing and sailing.
As a cabin boy on the sailing mother, for to go and hunt the shows of heaven, as we hunt the wondrous shows of heaven.
Heard the work of Duncan McAfee, a sonic artist from London, who wove together voices. They were actually singing voices and speaking as well in a really interesting and novel way. And I thought he would be the person to contact.
A storm coming, a shrieking hoof, clink, the wind helm door creaking. Fly anchor, skipper. Drenched a much, other ghostly the crew. Come the tumbling sea, come the black wrestling waves, the crashing wings, torn howling banner, frolicking boat, screaming stony sand, pounding wind, and clattering bones. Shallow water trap, a screeching wreck bubbles, and she collapses to the rushing bottom of the bay. Seagulls circling the ship's crumpling wings. A glimpse of land about a mile away. A draining, windy cliff, surf-destined rocks and slimpy stones. A desperate swim, a stray plank to cling, a light through the spray, hands grasping at clothes, a song of the sea, old Blog and his band, saviours again, relief.
as we were a-fishing off Haysborough line, shooting and hauling and trawling all night. It was windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we'll all go together.
My role is voluntary, and it's a lifeboat operations manager. I've held the post now, I suppose, for about 10 years. I spent 22 years in the Merchant Navy. I love the sea. I come down here most Sunday mornings. It's like being on a ship because you're away from everything else. And it's just quiet down here, and the sea is great. In the winter time, it's fantastic. You can feel the pier moving, and the breakers are breaking on the slip. Tremendous.
When the wind blows, we'll all go together. Then along came a man with stripes on his back. I know, skipper, to ship your main tack. It was windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we'll all go together.
Yes, well, this was done by the Tuesday group, who obviously meet here at the Belfry on Tuesday, which I'm part of. And we generally paint in the afternoons, and Nora, our leader, she put together quite a number of shells, driftwood, things from the beach generally, around Overstrand, and brought all this stuff in, and we chose a piece, and we started drawing away and cutting them out, drawing away and cutting them out. And then Nora just stuck them up all, and this frieze just grew and grew and grew. And this started about on March, I suppose. And then Duncan McAfee came down, the sound man, and he set up this workshop, and several of us came along, and various people off the street as well, who were on holiday, one lady was, and came in and joined in the fun. And he explained all the sound equipment that he'd got there, all homemade, all beautiful things, with big headphones and everything. And once this had all been explained, with great hilarity, we set off down the road onto the beach on this wonderful summer's day, July, August, whatever it was. But it was a beautiful summer's day. The beach was absolutely crowded, so it was ideal for picking up all sorts of sounds of people enjoying themselves on the beach and children running around. And he'd also got equipment that you could go in, wade in the water and throw in the shallow end and pick up all the noises from under the sea, all the bubbling noises and things, and all sorts of noises, rustling and children digging and running along the groins with a stick, and it just gathered all this information and then put it together. So he obviously was the expert. He weeded all out, everything, and put the whole piece together. So it just grew from that, and it was just a lot of fun.
One of the things that has been launched with Undersong is this CD in this really beautiful booklet. I drive a lot, and I'm driving on roads which are very beautiful but quite slow, but I put this CD on, and it's very magical because I've only been in Norfolk for 2 years, so I'm learning a lot about an area that I don't know about, and this CD is full of these extraordinary little sort of snippets of history, and often personal histories. So it's a very sort of intimate sort of information about the area. It's lovely.
Sheared sea, one beat drowned, and browning shells' voices, rattling crabby, blowing mournful, bare and gentle questions, calm and relaxed destruction, roaring heartbeat stones, squealing cave, peace. Laughing hounds, snow tears, snow tears, crashing spatter bath, crone screams funny, still a boat, fear the dreamlike steam from there. Plain music makes you feel suction, washing up, dropping on rocks. Children measure water with footsteps.
The children of the schools, of both schools, learned that this was actually a very viable way of producing artworks. So Duncan came along and taught them how to record, taught them how to distort the recording, and we took the idea of Black Shuck and the stories of Black Shuck because that would fire their imagination. And it was quite interesting to see how imaginative they were, how creative they were in ordinary everyday things that they found in the cloakroom. They also wrote a poem, and Duncan reads the poem, but all the sound effects in fact came from the children of these schools. And with the Oscars nowadays and firms in England getting awards for special effects, we were able to link this up with the children, and they can see that this is actually a very viable form of creative process.
It was a fine and a pleasant day. Our young harbour I was faring as a cabin boy on a sailing lugger. 40-year-old and not the shows of herring. Oh, we fished the swore and the broken man. I was broke and I had more to sharing, and I used to sleep standing on your feet, and I dream about the shows of herring. In the stormy seas and the living airs, just to learn your day, your daring. From the Nova Straits to the Faroe Islands, as you're following the shows of herring.
And it was always packed, always huge.